And we're live. What is going on, YouTube? Gamus here.
I'm Mattia here.
Welcome to the 2018 end of the year show. So today we're going to, and here's the echo. Sorry, sorry about that. So today we're going to talk about the stuff that happened in technology. This is now past here. So get comfortable and let's get started. Of course, you can talk with us using the live chat on YouTube. If you want to donate something, there's the super chat. So there's that. And let's get started. So the first topic of today, really we have some things to cover up. So the first thing I think we should really talk about, probably the most interesting thing that happened this year in the Linux world, in the tech world, was the attempt of Purism to make a free and open source phone, the Librem 5.
It is surely an interesting thing, I'd say. Well, let's follow the points written.
Yeah, I mean, what
yeah, I don't know.
What do you think about Librem 5? What do you think about
this? Is an exciting thing, surely. I mean, this is completely open. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that would be really a nice thing. If only it wasn't so problematic and so difficult to implement. Actually, Ubuntu tried to do that some time ago.
Yeah.
What do you think they failed?
Well, it is a little bit a closed space, the mobile space. I mean, there are many hardware providers that write their software and sell it only to.
And what do you think would make Purism different and Librem 5 different?
I hope that it'll be different sincerely, and they're gonna do it. I guess.
I really hope so. Maybe because they're trying to target a more niche market. Maybe that's gonna be a winning strategy. Yeah. But they are still having some problems with. They had some problems really. Especially with the hardware. Initially they wanted to go with the IMX6 CPU SoC to be more exact, and now they went with the IMX8.
Yeah, and well,
excuse me, he's still pretty new to this, so
yeah, we'll see about it. Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit soon to talk about it.
You know what?
It's not really.
It's not really soon because development boards are starting to ship as of December 18th.
Yeah, I've heard this thing. We talked about it some days ago, but we actually have to see it really this new year.
Yeah, that's the point. We still have to see how the development boards go and how the whole thing goes and performs. Yeah, I mean, the only problem here really is they had some hardware problems with the IMX6, so they went with the 8M. And in some ways, that's a little bit better because that's a more powerful CPU. But to be honest, seeing these kind of problems so early in the project, maybe it's a good thing because they could have come up later, and that wouldn't be great. But we'll see how it goes. Another problem really with the Librem 5 is that they went to make their own desktop environment.
Yeah, I've heard it. They want to integrate some kind of GNOME.
Yeah, they practically remaking GNOME Shell for mobile. What do you think about this?
Oh, well, I don't know if it is a great idea. I mean, it probably is since they are developing it and they're putting effort into it. But I don't know really. We're gonna see. There was Ubuntu Mobile.
That was really one of the problems with Ubuntu Phone and the whole failure thing is that they practically went to make a whole new desktop environment and toolkit along with it based on QML. Yes, but that was still a whole new toolkit, and that's difficult to introduce something like that in the market. It's difficult to introduce it in the desktop market, letting alone the mobile market. That's even more closed up.
Yeah, but if we see that they really port some kind of GNOME shell into mobile, it is a great thing to me. I love GNOME.
Yeah, I am a GNOME user
the-
too. Most people really in the free software community these days tend to prefer Plasma. I like Plasma in a way. It's just not for me. But to be honest, they're doing the KDE community is doing a great job with Plasma Mobile.
Yeah.
And initially, Purism said that they wanted to try to use the Plasma Mobile desktop environment, but at the end they decided to support it in a way, and they still are doing that. But at the same time, they still want to make their own desktop environment based on GNOME. I mean, I am a GTK developer. In a way, I like that because I like GTK more than I like Qt. But yeah, it's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So moving on, I wanted to see if we have someone talking in the chat room.
Okay.
Oh,
they. So did all. I think the Librem 5 will be quite limited at the beginning.
Probably it will be.
Yeah, the chat is saying.
Yeah.
Vincenzo Nardelli is saying he thinks that Librem 5 will be quite limited at the beginning, and I'm really. I have to agree with that because, of course, it's the first of a completely new product, so it's definitely going to be limited. We have the luck of having such a device to be open. So the good thing is that probably most desktop apps will run on the Librem 5, if not great. Mostly because of how the interface on desktop apps works, but at least it will work to some degree. Even some of the applications I've been working on, I've tried in some way to make them responsive or ready to be responsive. It's not really that interesting, to be honest, because Hydra Paper is a wallpaper app for multi-monitor, and on a phone that's not really that useful. And Razer Commander, that's the other big app I'm working on, is a GTK user interface for controlling Razer peripherals. So again, I'm not sure where that would go, but that's still as an exercise more than anything. It's I think it's a good idea. Moving on, it has also been postponed. That's pretty old news, actually. I don't want to talk about it being postponed. It's obvious. I thought when they announced the official release date, I immediately thought that it was over optimistic, and I still believe that maybe these 4 months more that they got are still kind of optimistic, but we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, it is a little bit soon. Yeah, but
you want to go with the next point?
Can hope that it will go well. Well, next point we have Project Stratis.
Yes.
This is project basically wants to be an alternative to the ZFS. The
ZFS file system.
ZFS and file system of BSD. Yeah, but it is not a file system really. It is a rival to ZFS and also Btrfs.
Yeah, it basically Btrfs and ZFS try to do the same things in a kind of different way, but I mean,
they have great features, right?
The whole thing about storage pools and what's the other thing? I forgot how it's called. The way that you have many disks in the pool, and you can rank them. Sorry, I forgot the name. I totally forgot the name of that. But anyway, the thing about Project Stratis by Red Hat actually is that they are trying to implement this using existing technologies like XFS and a user space daemon of some sort. Sorry?
It's based on XFS.
Well, it's not a file system per se, so I wouldn't say it's based on XFS. It uses. Yeah, and it also uses a user space daemon compared to the kernel level module that's required to run ZFS. What do you think about
kind of a new approach to the question?
Really.
The problem I think there wasn't an approach like this in the past.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing about file systems is that they always, in a way, require a sort of kernel backing.
Yeah.
so having it
User space
uncoupled from
then,
the kernel and running in the user space, it's a kind of a nice idea. To some extent, maybe too ambitious. I don't know. It's Red Hat. I think they can pull it off. We'll see where that goes. But that's an interesting thing to keep an eye on in 2019 for sure.
And maybe try it.
Yeah, it's not really the kind of thing that you can try in a VM, in my opinion, because of the whole the search pool thing. And I think I would need to have a server to play around with to really see the status of project strategies and ZFS for that matter.
Yeah.
And speaking about Red Hat, the next big news of this year was IBM buying Red Hat.
Yeah. Man, well, we're gonna see what happens even here. When a big society like IBM buys something like Red Hat, there is open source. We don't know what will happen really.
That's
probably will be a positive thing. I mean, IBM has always been one of the major contributors, like.
To some extent, yes.
To some extent.
The thing about IBM that I'm not sure about them, because they are investing in Linux, but mostly because their technologies are based on Linux. Yeah. Their hardware products for like mainframes and I don't know if they sell. Well, they sell the Power 9 CPUs, but I don't think that's really for workstations. I don't know. Mainly mainframes and supercomputers of some sort use IBM hardware, so that's their interest in Linux. But at the same time, I don't know. They probably the rumor is that they're interested in the so-called hybrid cloud.
I've heard of it.
Do you want to say anything about the hybrid cloud? What it is?
I don't know. It doesn't convince me really, but.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know what we're talking about here, a hybrid cloud is a new fad, basically, consisting of so it's a weird concept, but not so weird if you think about it. You have a hybrid system, like having standard servers that are always on and active and stuff like that, and then you mix that with on-premise hardware or VPSs, and provided by many different providers. So in theory, like AWS or Azure or I don't know, DigitalOcean, and you basically in this way you should have a more reliant system as a whole. But again, this is a pretty new concept. I don't know how important that is. Maybe for like big companies like your Facebooks, Microsofts, and I don't know, Amazon, Netflix. Yeah. These kind of companies really are probably more interested in this kind of solutions. Yeah. But the thing here is that the Red Hat we know and love is really we thought at least that it was invested in the desktop market more than in the server market. Well, I mean, okay, IBM. Sorry.
IBM.
Sorry, Red Hat mainly sells to companies, to enterprises, and their operating system is basically made to run on either workstations or big servers. So they don't really care about the desktop, but at the same time they do, because they sponsor projects like GNOME and the Fedora project. And what do you think will happen now that IBM bought Red Hat?
Oh, the positive thing is surely they spend money on it.
But will they spend it on the right things for us desktop users?
Oh, I can say that I hope so, but
yeah, the thing here is that we really have two possibilities. Yeah, we really have two possibilities right now, right?
Yeah.
Or either IBM badly influences Red Hat, or Red Hat the Red Hat spirit infects IBM, and they will become a new beacon of free software and open source technologies.
Yeah, but I don't know trust IBM really.
I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest. In a way, it's better that it was IBM rather than Microsoft.
Yeah, that surely is a positive thing.
But at the same time, I don't know. I don't really have a big idea about IBM myself, so I wouldn't know. And speaking about Microsoft and big companies buying open source projects,
yeah,
Microsoft started investing in open source. What did they buy?
They bought GitHub, and well, this has been one of the biggest news in this year actually. It opened the movement, move to GitLab.
Yeah, myself included.
Yourself included, yeah. And yeah, they bought GitHub, and well, this is a move that at the start I really didn't understand fully.
I still don't understand.
Probably that's the right thing. Yeah, but okay, it is not neither good or bad really. Probably more bad than good, because they don't know what they can do with GitHub. Why should they buy it? I don't know, but yeah, many people now use GitLab, and that's a great thing, since GitLab is a great platform.
Yeah, to be honest.
Anyway, also compared to GitHub, also previously, and then.
Yeah, to be honest, I was really impressed by GitLab as a project as a whole, because I was knobbing it, being used to GitHub and being used to like that one solution, that one thing that exists and you can rely on. But when Microsoft bought it, I immediately started to try to find an alternative, and I reactivated basically my GitLab account, and I found out that it's actually a very nice project. In a way, I think it's done better than GitHub, and also GitLab is completely open source.
Yeah.
While GitHub isn't.
Yeah, that's a true thing. Maybe Microsoft could make it open source.
I don't know. They're doing weird things. They open sourced the .NET Core, and they made the SQL Server available on Linux, but still, I don't see many real consumer products by Microsoft made open source, or at least available on Linux. I mean,
it seems they're trying some way, but
I don't know if they're trying or if they're trying to deceive people. Because to be honest, the biggest technologies I'd want to see ported on Linux are DirectX, Office, not for me, but many people think that LibreOffice isn't good enough, and they want Office because, I want my Microsoft Office, and they just want it that way. And not having it is a big downside, unfortunately, for Linux.
Yeah.
And other things, parts of Windows, they could open source them. Maybe the Wine project could benefit from that. Or again, Active Directory, another terrible thing that Microsoft, that's part of the Microsoft ecosystem, and that's not really easy to integrate with Linux.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen any of these things.
The open source .NET Core, okay, but
but what do we do with it?
Yeah, that's another great thing. But they're kinda trying. I don't know.
I really don't know. To be honest, I feel like they're trying. They're still the old Microsoft we love to hate. But we'll see about that. I don't want to balance too much on one side or the other. I still don't trust Microsoft myself. We'll see where that goes.
You can have your reasons, yeah, and I also can share them. And I want to say another thing. Many people complained about the move to GitLab movement, but again, I mean, okay, you can keep your projects on GitHub, and it is not a bad thing per se, but GitLab is a great platform, so try it anyway. And if you do not want to move due to Microsoft buying GitHub, you can also try it and move to GitLab, because it is a great platform.
Yeah, I absolutely.
I maybe am too repetitive, but
no, I absolutely agree.
Because
I absolutely agree. Also, you should read right out, because it's really an interesting platform, and it works not really in the same way GitHub does, but at the same time, kind of kind of the same thing, but it's better in some ways. I think
you can use them both.
And actually, I kind of still do, mostly to contribute or to at least consume some open source projects that are still on GitHub. I don't feel terribly bad about that. I don't feel like forcing other people to move to GitLab as I did, but I'd prefer to see more projects on GitLab than on GitHub. Actually, one project I wasn't expecting to see on GitLab move to GitLab is do you know the Adapta GTK team?
Yeah.
Okay, the guy behind Adapta made another thing called Plata.
Yeah.
He initially thought about merging it into Adapta, but people didn't like it because it's a really different style. It's more like Material Design 2.0, but
Okay.
it's really different. And the guy actually started the new repo on GitLab.
Oh,
I was really happy about that. Yeah, yeah. You should check it out. It's called Plata, Plata. It's a really nice thing. You should find it on GitLab.
Okay.
So moving on to the next news, we have something really more joyful to talk about this time. We're talking about the Linux kernel 4.20.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about it? I know
Yeah,
you know more than I do about it.
At the start, this Linux kernel release had slowed down interprocessors due to they're always present.
Did it though? Didn't they? You're talking about the meltdown patches,
Yeah.
right? Didn't they make them
Yeah.
optional?
Yeah, they made it optional with a per process system that I really still do not know exactly how it works.
See,
if
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
be sincere, but it can be, some way fixed.
I mean, it really depends on the kind of work that you're doing on that particular machine, because on servers that host VPSs, you really want to have the meltdown fixes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're exposing your whole server and possibly the whole network to attacks.
Yeah. Curiously, AMD processors didn't suffer the thing.
Because because Spectre, the Spectrum indications are lower impact.
Yeah.
And really, I've heard that with Linux kernel 4.20, AMD processors actually are faster now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
know
heard
that.
about that recently. I still have to verify that myself, but I mean,
Maybe I
should
read
be nice
something
thing.
about the thread ripper. Yeah, it might be possible. Yeah. They usually put there a lot of compatibility patches for new hardware. And,
Yeah. In the kernel 4.20, as always, they have many compatibility patches,
a lot
mostly
of
ARM stuff.
This is a really big update of the kernel.
Yeah, and one that was
There are
delayed for so long.
Hundreds of thousands of lines of code changed.
And it was delayed for so long, and part of that reason was really how could we call that, a situation with the community.
Okay. Yeah.
And the whole code of conduct shenanigans. So what do we really want to say about the code of conduct?
It is difficult.
It's difficult to talk about it.
It's
Yeah.
difficult to talk about the code of conduct. Yeah. Well, surely it is. Some rules are needed. Okay, and they're not bad per se.
Yeah, but they were initially kind of controversial and misunderstandable.
Yeah, ambiguous in some way, but yeah, they're not bad at all, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to pronounce myself about how fair the code of conduct is, but to be completely honest, the way I saw people reacting to the whole news and the shit storm. Can I say shit? Okay, I just got demonetized. Yeah, thumbs up for demonetization. If you want to support the channel, use the super chat because we swear, we like to swear, and YouTube doesn't like that. So, I was talking about the code of conduct and how the community badly reacted to it, and I don't really think that's the right thing, the right way to react to any sort of news like that, because you're misbehaving and also you're giving a reason for this code of conduct to exist.
Yeah, in some way, yeah.
So the real message here, the real final note is to always be respectful with people in general, especially online. If you're hiding behind the keyboard, I really hate to use this term, but you don't have to be mean. And
Respect others and the usual stuff.
yeah, I respect others and other people's ideas. If you don't agree with them, that's perfectly fine. There are peaceful ways to disagree with someone, but the way the community reacted isn't really one I would endorse.
Yeah.
So moving on, are we still live though? Yeah, we have 10 people watching us right now. Nice.
Okay.
And we're 32 minutes
Okay.
in. We still don't have many people speaking in the chat. Hey, chat room, speak up. We want to hear your thoughts. Also, if you have any questions, just ask them. Feel free to. Hey. Okay, I see some. Okay, I should really share the chat right now. Where is it? There we go. There's the chat. I can see. Okay, I have a weird setup going on here because I have another screen right down here where I can see the live stream going, and I have my laptop here where I see notes and stuff. So it's really weird to jump back and forth with this setup. So sorry if I look away sometimes. So just wanted to include you all in the chat. I'm happy you're here. And I think we're moving on with the next topic, are we?
Okay.
Where are we? There we go.
We talked about Meltdown and Spectre.
Yeah, we talked about it. Speaking of the Linux kernel 420, but really we should spend some more time talking about.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing here is that this was the big news of 2018. I mean, it started at the very beginning of the year, and it went on, and it's still going on. Now we're talking about it. Speaking of really recent news, the kernel 420.
Yeah. Maybe we can skip it. Yeah.
The thing here is that I really fear that x86 has become too big.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Any thoughts about
These
that?
complex instruction sets are not suitable for new next generation processor. At least that's my opinion. Yeah. Indeed, you can see x86 processors that really use RISC microcores.
Yeah. They have like.
So it is my opinion, but there's something true in it. Even the developers of these instruction sets and these architectures put reduced instruction sets inside their complex instruction set. Probably they will not live that much.
Yeah, I mean
they shouldn't, but they
I think
will
it's all
for
about
a lot of
compatibility.
time for portability, compatibility, and many stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's really kind of okay. It's not really about performance that much. It's more about security at this point, because we're seeing a lot of these kind of, they're calling them next generation attacks, next generation vulnerabilities, and in a way they're not really next generation, because these flaws have been there for forever. I think for as long as x86 has been a thing, practically. And they're still there, and even new CPUs released this year don't have any in silicon patches or fixes, more to be more correct, for them, and that really speaks for how complex and big and basically a black box x86 has become.
Yeah.
And maybe a solution to this problem is changing architecture as a whole.
Yeah.
And do you think ARM is the future?
ARM itself, it might be in some ways, but there are some architectures that are more interesting, like RISC-V.
Yeah, RISC-V
is a really interesting architecture, I have to say. It's completely open for who doesn't know.
Yeah, it's a really it's actually a CPU architecture built to be open source and royalty free
Yeah.
for everybody, and that's really great
Great.
and weird at the same time. We've been
Yeah.
living with CPU companies having like leaving basically on
On the
patent trading.
Yeah.
I was missing that word. Basically, Intel and AMD are living on patent trading and have been for a very long time. And we have some messages in the chat. I'm not understanding why you're saying risk invented by the BBC, honestly.
I didn't understand.
What? Sorry?
What?
Guard? I don't understand. Okay, we're talking about the RISC-V. RISC as RISC, as reduced instruction set. C stands for
Reduce
What's the
instruction
acronym for-
set computer.
computer. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So we're not talking about risk as in you risk. I don't know. I don't have a phrase. We're talking about the risk
No,
risk
I don't
five risk
understand what-
as CPU
sorry.
architectures. So as we were saying, in a way, RISC-V tries to be competing with ARM.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet, in terms of performance at least, but in terms of power consumption, we're kind of already there. And the big thing is that they're trying to make hardware
Easier.
on demand.
And easier.
Easier in a way.
In some
Yeah,
way easier. So also to simplify the life of hardware producers.
Yeah, in a way, yes, because their goal should be to standardize the an architecture
Yeah.
to be used by many hardware vendors, but at the same time they don't believe that ARM could be such a thing, and I tend to agree with them, because ARM is not really what we hoped it would have become.
Yeah.
Mostly
in some ways. I have to say that I love ARP. Really,
For what it
but-
is, yes,
For
it's
what
a
it
ve-
is, but RISC-V seems more appropriate for
The
this
problem-
role.
Yeah, the problem really with ARM is that it is kind of made for Linux in a way, but at the same time it really isn't, because all different vendors have different drivers and different blobs that are not really properly made. They are basically made as patches for the kernel instead
Yeah.
of being dynamic modules as other drivers we've seen on x86, for example. And so what happens is that support is not really always great for
Yeah.
different ARM SoCs, and so you find yourself in the situation that you have a very powerful ARM based phone or development board, but you cannot really install any mainline Linux distro or even run any kernel on them, because any kernel other than what's based on the original one from the hardware manufacturer,
Yeah.
because they're
Absolutely.
just out of standard in a way.
Yeah.
It's really difficult even to update a kernel for an ARM device, and that's really sad. And well, I mean, RISC-V could really change things here, because in a way they're trying to build this thing from the ground up to be universal and standard and built around Linux, really built around Linux. They even made an agreement with the Linux Foundation to work closer with them and make more involved decisions along with them.
Yeah, and that's a great thing, surely.
Yeah, I really hope they go forward, and that's another thing we should keep an eye on for 2019.
Yeah. And speaking of ARM and Samsung and producers in general, foundries,
Of CPUs.
foundries in general, TSMC. Okay, we have this year the first 7 nanometers chips.
Yes, exactly. So what we've seen this year is a race to 7 nanometers from the CPU manufacturers. Most of the classic big ones like Intel and AMD are racing to 7 nanometers. In a way, AMD actually succeeded. They released their EPIC CPU with the chiplet design. They actually have a 7 nanometer cores coupled with a 14 nanometer IO controller.
Yeah.
And that's not really completely 7 nanometers, but it's more than what Intel has done.
Yeah, since Intel is only 12 nanometers.
I think they're seen on 14.
14?
I still think they're on 14.
Yeah, you're right.
And the thing is that they tried to go down to 10 nanometers.
Yeah, but not successfully, apparently.
Apparently, they didn't succeed. And the thing here is that because of this failed transition to 10 nanometers, we've been seeing very important CPU shortages from Intel.
Yeah.
Especially in this last part of the year. They say they're mostly focusing on like laptops and system integrators more than selling to customers directly.
Yeah.
Maybe they have more margin there, I don't know. But especially with the 9000 series CPUs from Intel, the i7s more than the i5s, they didn't really you couldn't really buy them at all.
They're falling a little bit behind. Yeah, they have their branch prediction hardware and things like that I hope for them that will be good enough. But in this moment, AMD, at least apparently, is taking the lead in this field. At least, or speaking of process of production.
I don't know
really, but
they tried. But about 7 nanometers, AMD is not the first that actually made it to
Samsung is really
yeah, they're really pushing it.
They're really pushing really hard.
They actually developed a new manufacturing process called EUV.
GAAE, if I recall correctly, it was called.
I don't remember what it's called. It's basically a new UV manufacturing process for CPUs, or silicon in general, to be honest. And they already started production of 7 nanometer chips.
Yeah.
And they actually also announced that they will be releasing 5 nanometer chips by 2019 and
by 2020 and 3 nanometers by 2021. And this is surprising.
Do you really think they could make it?
I don't know. I guess they're doing it. And I'm really surprised, since when they teach me Moore law, they say that it was false nowadays, but
yeah,
it seemed that
okay, Moore's law is has been broken already.
Yeah, but they are recovering it in some way. They're doubling.
They're pushing it.
They're pushing it. Yeah, they're doing a great job. For what I read, they're substituting the technology with which they build transistors. As of now is FinFET that works with the doesn't matter really. And now they're using something called GAAE and GAAN, if I recall correctly. I don't really remember really.
No,
but they're basing it on nanosheet of carbon.
I don't really know the details about that.
Yeah, that's not important really anyway. They're doing 3 nanometers by 2021 apparently.
I don't know. I don't think,
we hope they do it.
I don't think they will, but we'll see.
For the sake of technology progress.
Well, yeah, for sure, but I still don't think they can do it. So, as for CPUs, 2018 hasn't been a great year, at least for Intel. But what about GPUs? We've seen NVIDIA releasing finally the Turing series cards, the 20XX, so the 2080, 2080 Ti, and the 2070. and they're going to release the 2060 soon.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the RTX and the 20 series cards?
I really didn't understand fully them, really.
What do you mean?
I mean, um, as of now, ray tracing technology, hardware technology seem to not be ready, really. We have only one video game, Battlefield 5.
Yeah, only
They
Battlefield
use it,
5
and
supports.
using it, the frame rate drops a lot, and unfortunately that's not what people want. But more often people tend to like high frame rates and lower quality, so
Yeah, they tend to
using
prefer high frame rates than better quality, and that's really true. But apparently, Nvidia is trying to push this new technology forward, and they're trying to do it using tensor cores. So maybe that's the right approach. Because the only way to do this is trying to do it with GPU. So in a way, this is a kind of implementation of GPU.
Yeah, surely having cores that do it in an accelerated ways is a good thing, but maybe we are not really. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing at all. I mean, in the future, it might be that ray tracing units and tensor core units will be on every GPU. Maybe now it is too early. If you want to try the technology, take them, but it is a little bit premature.
Yeah, I think I think the same thing. To be honest, I don't think that RTX really is a great progress in technology, mostly because the raw performance, graphics performance compared to Pascal doesn't justify the price difference.
Yeah, the price difference is
Colossal, to say the least.
Yeah, it might have been a good idea to release the RTX cars and alongside some other cars that hadn't
I don't know. Yeah,
ray
probably.
tracing units and
Yeah, probably that would have been a nice idea, maybe to keep the price down or keep producing Pascal, because why not? I don't know. Maybe maybe they're trying to invest on RTX, and maybe the 30 series cards at this point, the next ones will be 30 series. We have better RTX performance. I don't know. Nvidia this year didn't really do that well, in my opinion. But at the same time, AMD didn't do anything except for releasing the RX 590, and that didn't even work on Linux initially. I don't know if it works now, but initial reports from Phoronix and other important sources said that the RX 590 didn't work at all.
yeah,
that's pretty strange, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is a little bit strange because it basically is a 580.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I don't know why it didn't work. Yeah, and we hope that they'll do well with the new cars, with the Vega 2 and
or Navi
and
Navi. I don't know. The people don't really know what they're going to release next year. If only Vega 2, 7 nanometers, or Vega 2 and Navi, or only Navi. That's still very unclear. And they didn't announce anything yet. The latest rumors say that they will release Vega 2 using the 7 nanometers process early next year. So probably we're gonna see some demos at CES. What do you think?
I really don't know what.
Would you go and buy a Vega 2 card?
I don't know. It depends, really.
Would you buy an Nvidia?
I don't know. It depends. Right now, nope, really. I mean, I wouldn't buy an RTX right now.
You said you would have bought a Pascal card.
Yeah, I saw an offer and it was good enough. The Nvidia cars are good cars. This is not.
but
It is an old architecture, and
But
yeah.
the Linux support. Is
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
That's what I'm worried
yeah.
about. I'd rather buy a 580 for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
I guess they written something before
Sorry?
people were installed the BBC.
I don't know. I don't know what Gart is talking about. Maybe I just don't understand. But
I really don't know what it
just
means.
forget it. Really.
Okay. I'm
I
sorry, but I didn't get it.
Anyway, let's move on. While RTX in a way was a failure, and we still don't have anything new from the AMD side, Nvidia actually tried to make some kind of progress, open sourcing PhysX.
Yeah. They did it. It is a positive thing.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
As
it's
always.
not bad. It's
not.
a three clause BSD license.
Yeah.
But to be honest, as for video games, I don't think that PhysX makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years ago we didn't have
when
GPGPU.
compute pipelines didn't exist, it was a great thing. Yeah, PhysX born, if I recall correctly, with a Gaia cars. Gaia.
Yeah, they bought a Gaia.
They bought a Gaia.
I think it's a Gaia actually.
A Gaia?
I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, they bought that company that was developing PhysX, and they brought it in house.
But it was a time when GPU only did graphics calculation and computations.
Exactly, and GPGPU was basically non-existent.
Now we have OpenCL CUDA, so probably for video games it won't make the difference.
Also, for video games, we also have in Vulkan, we have the compute
The
pipelines.
compute pipeline of Vulkan, because there is a great thing. Yeah, they've unified the concept, and that is a thing that I really love. Maybe as of now the support is not full in any.
You're talking about the card support?
The card support. No, I mean about the library and things like that.
Oh well, it's still very new. If you think about
it is very new. I love Vulkan. I'm a Vulkan boy.
Fanboy?
A fanboy of Vulkan. Yeah, and I love it as a concept. We have OpenCL right now and CUDA. There are great alternatives, and I hope that Vulkan Compute will be the main one.
Well, I don't know about that. For gaming, for some compute in games, it will probably make a decent impact. But for anything else, I don't know. I don't know. I still kind of like my OpenCL.
Yeah, OpenCL is a great platform.
Also, the thing about PhysX, and they say that they're releasing it for scientific workloads, for scientific purposes, because apparently having precise GPU accelerated physics isn't that easy. I don't know. I don't know any of this kind of work myself, so I wouldn't know about that. But apparently there is some interest in the scientific research market for PhysX, and if it helps scientific progress, why not?
Yeah.
The only downside is that it still only runs on NVIDIA.
Yeah, but we can't do much about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's still NVIDIA.
Yeah.
What were you expecting? And speaking of graphics cards, as we are practically talking about them for a while, gaming actually was very interesting this year. We had many advances in gaming
Proton
technology
this year. Proton, the XVK.
Exactly.
The XVK is a great thing.
Okay, let's
because
start.
we are talking about Vulkan and
Let's start from the beginning. So Proton this year actually revolutionized the gaming market on Linux. Sorry, and in a way that nobody really was expecting.
Yeah.
So they actually integrated Wine into Steam along with some patches specific to gaming. And when I heard about the rumors, I couldn't believe that, to be honest, because it was like something Reddit was talking about a very long time. When they first released Steam on Linux, people were talking about like they were suggesting that Valve added wine support on Steam in a way like kind of how Proton works right now. So they tell you that the game runs in compatibility mode and that they don't assure that it will work, but they still give you the possibility to use Wine inside of Steam without installing Steam inside of Wine.
Yeah.
And they actually did that, and my mind was actually blown. And the great thing is that it works so well.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem.
Me neither.
Until now. Yeah.
Me neither. I mean, I've been playing so many games I have on my library and on my shared library. Like I've been playing Dark Souls 3 a lot. I am a great Dark Souls fan. If you see by my T-shirt, or sweater. This is a sweater. This is not a T-shirt. Anyway, I am a big Dark Souls fan, and I've been able to play Dark Souls 3. And it's been working flawlessly to the point that now it's actually whitelisted. And some other games I've been playing a lot are No Man's Sky, pretty interesting game, and so many others, but I don't actually remember many of them. And another great one is Doom.
Ah, yeah.
Doom is so awesome. If you like the genre, it's like the game for me. It has been for the last couple of days, but it recently. I've seen a sale on Christmas and I just jumped on it.
Someone wrote something?
Okay, spam. Yeah, nice.
I didn't understand this either. I don't know
Alright.
what's happening with the chat.
Report.
Okay.
Spam. Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay.
So we're talking about Proton, and one component of Proton that actually made the difference was the XVK.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that since you're the Vulkan developer here?
The XVK has done a great work right now.
What is it?
I mean,
for starters,
it basically in some way translates DirectX to Vulkan.
DirectX 11 to be more
yeah.
exact.
DirectX 11 to Vulkan, and it is a great thing because we have almost the same performance that we have on Windows, and
Not quite.
No, okay.
Almost. I've used it.
Yeah.
I've used it. I love the XVK, and the work they've been doing on it is unbelievable, to be honest. And it works well, but to say it's on par is
on par, not on par, but we are reaching
it's close. It's very close. It's very close. That's yeah.
Some years ago
right.
we couldn't even. I'm sorry. Some years ago we couldn't even play DirectX 11 games on Linux.
Yeah, because the OpenGL implementation wasn't that great, so it was restarted. But instead of using OpenGL, they used Vulkan, and that's a really nice idea in my opinion. Yeah. And now thanks to the XVK, we have so many games.
We have DirectX 11 on Linux, and well, that's a fantastic thing. And we are not so bad in performance.
No, I mean we're doing fine. I'm playing with the 960. Even many games I'm actually playing 1080p, but the way they implemented resolution scaling inside of Proton is actually very good, to the point that even if I'm playing many games at 1080p, it's not that noticeable. Kind of like, you know, when you're playing on different resolutions on a CRT, and you don't really see quality drop that much. You can drop the resolution on CRTs very much, but you still have a pretty decent quality. You cannot say the same thing about LCDs, and it's kind of the same thing. They're trying to implement resolution scaling via software in a very interesting way, and actually works very well. And I couldn't have been able to tell if it was running on 1440p or 1080p for most of the games I've been playing with
Okay.
Proton.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
And moving on, speaking of not Valve and Steam, Epic Games and Discord try to rival it.
Yeah. Well, this is a positive thing. I have
In a
to
way
say.
it is. In a way it is.
Because we have competition to Valve. Well, it means every one of them will do better.
Hopefully.
Hopefully they'll do better, yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, in a way, as you said, it can be a positive thing. But at the same time, I don't know, because Valve is really the first company that I saw, the first mainstream company, software company that I saw actually investing on Linux. And I started to grow closer to Valve as my experience with Linux and my experience with the whole Valve ecosystem grew, and how I've seen Valve always investing more and more into open source software and bringing the whole Linux ecosystem forward.
Yeah.
While Epic Games and Discord is a very new company, so I wouldn't talk about them. But Epic Games didn't really make anything much for Linux. They have in some way support for Linux on the Unreal Engine 4, but at the same time, the only game from them that I've seen actually kind of support on Linux has been Unreal Tournament 4, and development for UT4 stopped in favor of Fortnite, and Fortnite, guess what, is not available on Linux.
Yeah. Okay.
And the same way that recently Epic announced that, so they announced their own store, okay, and that could have been a good thing, but they announced that they're not interested in Linux support at all.
Yeah.
Okay, they said like
good thing.
They said like they use corporate speech. They said that the Linux is not a priority for them right now. So basically, fuck you, Linux. They said, but I don't like this kind of companies that just chase money blindly without any interest in new platforms.
I guess your point, yeah.
And on the other hand, Discord is trying to do things kind of. It's I have kind of more hopes towards Discord in a way, because they said that they are actually planning to support Linux, and that everything should already be in place for Linux support. And in a way, I think that's good, but at the same time, I see Discord and I see how there is still a bug since they released it, where you cannot share single windows in Discord on Linux. I just hate that, and it's been there forever, and they have never fixed it. So I don't know how invested they really are in the platform, to be honest.
I really do not know neither. I don't know to use it. I didn't know this bug was there. Really?
Yeah, I've been using Discord for quite a while, and it's nice, but again, I don't know. It's weird.
Okay, I don't know.
It's the kind of relationship they seem to have with Linux is kind of weird, but not as weird as the Epic relationship with Linux.
Okay, they didn't do anything, but we can see what they'll do.
Yeah, I mean, 2019 would be an interesting year from this point of view as well.
Yeah.
And speaking of gaming, the last topic, the last big topic about gaming I wanted to talk about is, where is VR?
There's no VR?
Or AR for that matter.
I mean, VR costs a lot.
Yeah, that's
right
really...
now VR costs a lot, and so there are people do not buy VR headsets, and so there are not games, at least not many games.
Yeah, it's the usual chicken and the egg problem.
Yeah.
And that's really sad. I really wanted to see VR coming to the mainstream market. It still haven't, and I fear that it will never.
I don't know. I mean, they probably have to find some way to produce some headset that cost less than
I think that most of the
1,000.
money you pay on the headset goes into R&D, so like research and development.
Yeah,
So yeah, because
probably
it's a very
most of it.
yeah, because it's a very new technology, really. So I don't know. I don't think that the materials cost that much. It's just a
I
screen, couple
don't.
lenses, some sensors. It's not that big of a deal. I mean,
I really don't know. Displays inside the VR headset probably cost a little bit.
yeah, but they the same
Not
kind
a
of displays
thousand
you use
bucks.
on
Yeah,
phones. Maybe high refresh rate, but it's not so different.
I don't know. Really, I'm ignorant in this field.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've never tried. I tried VR. I've never felt like investing in VR. Mostly for the cost related to it. And as for anything else, AR. There is the Microsoft Hololens. They're trying to to market that towards uh, working environments like factory workers and stuff like that.
mm,
But don't see anything big really in consumer technology.
no,
That's really sad. I thought that
there.
in 2018 VR would have been like improved, would have evolved and come to the mainstream market. But
Yes, it is a little bit still right now.
yeah, it's cold market right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, because ideally it is a good thing.
Yeah, it's
This
great. I mean, gaming in VR is awesome. We still have some technology constraints though. Maybe that's one of the reasons it still hasn't come to the mainstream market. I mean, the biggest thing for me is really movement inside of the virtual world.
don't
Many
feel it's real.
yeah, it doesn't it could feel real, but it's not really implemented as I thought it could have been.
Okay.
Most VR games use the teleport controls
Mm-hmm.
for movement, and that's really still
Yeah.
a lot weird to me. I don't know. I don't know. At the same time, I don't really see myself or anybody else for that matter buying like those giant treadmills to walk inside the VR environment. But I don't see any better option at this point.
I don't know really.
Yeah, that's a big downside of the whole VR technology as a whole. So moving
It
on.
is a sad thing, but yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
move on.
but we have to move on. We have to be
Yeah.
strong and move on to the next topic of today, which is data privacy, Cambridge Analytica, Google Plus data leaks, Europe laws on privacy and copyright, and all that kind of stuff. We've come to it. We have to talk about it. This happened in 2018. So let's start with Cambridge Analytica. Tell me all you know about it.
All you know about it. Yeah. It has been one of the greatest events of this year, probably.
Greatest
People
in
suddenly
bad.
realized that big companies were holding their data. Well, it has always been like that.
Yeah, it's
Really.
not like they were trying to hide it.
It
Or
wasn't
anything.
a new thing, really. But people somewhere realized it. And it had been a big boom in some way.
In a way,
In a way.
it seemed like it, but to be honest, what I see, I don't see many people getting off of Facebook. To be honest,
But there has been
there's been maybe
a
couple
tweet
thousand. I don't know.
on
I
Facebook.
I actually haven't used Facebook for I don't know how many years, and I actually went around and deleted my account. Not recently, but this year I think. Oh, the last year maybe. I don't remember. I haven't been using Facebook for so long now. I don't know. But anyway, I deleted my account long time ago, and even before that, I wasn't using it at all. So, but I'm not like I'm not the kind of people I'm talking about. I'm not the mass market myself. I'm kind of a niche myself, as you are in a way, as you probably watching this video are. But the thing here is that like people are not moving off of Facebook or Instagram or any other kind of social media like
No,
that, for that matter.
it didn't solve the problem in any way. Yeah,
And but do you
it
think
was
people
a
really
scandal.
realize what
For
happens with
those
their data?
days they did, but it
Or
was
did
all
they?
only confined to those days from the big boom. And in about June,
I don't remember when
don't
exactly it
remember when.
happened, but
I heard many people talking about it.
yeah,
Also,
many people were
that
talking about it.
far from the field.
Yeah, also in the news. I mean, it was the news was spread like it was big news for
And
sure.
they couldn't
But
believe it, and they didn't use that for those days. But
then they forgot.
Yeah.
How can people forget about these things so easily?
I don't know. Really, I don't know. Well, and this is a little bit a problem because of privacy that gets broken. Yeah. Conversely, in the other part, we have that those big platforms have to survive in some manner, but you know, it isn't the only way. Probably they have their economists that work there that think that this is the best approach.
They have their
but
business
it
plans,
isn't
but
morally correct. There are approaches that are morally correct. Surely they make
yeah.
you earn less money. We can
that's
see
the
at
point.
least,
That's the point. Every
DuckDuckGo, for
company,
instance.
yeah, that's the point. But people are these big companies are trying to get as much money as they can, and they don't care about the people. They don't care about privacy. They don't care about moral
Yeah.
stuff. How can you stop that? Even
We have
even
to-
fines, even if you have to pay, like if they have to pay fines to various governments for violating privacy regulations or laws or for data breaches, they don't even care. They see them as taxes to run their business, because at the end of the day they gain far more than they lose. So that's
Yeah.
really most of the point there. But it's not only limited to Facebook. Also, we've seen
Google
many
Plus.
data leaks regarding two data leaks, actually big data leaks regarding Google Plus
Yeah.
user data that has been exposed because of some bugs apparently, and as a response, Google just decided to close Google Plus.
Yeah.
And do you think that's a good move? I mean, Google Plus hasn't been the greatest of platforms. It had its community, but it wasn't very curated by. It didn't feel like very curated from Google itself. It felt like a product that they made and that they just let it be for a while.
Yeah,
and
some
they
sort of failure that they let there.
it was to some
Until
degree,
some-
but to in another way, it was an aggregator for communities. Like weirdly, many Linux and free software communities actually gathered around Google Plus.
Yeah.
Or all the free software. Well, not exactly. Okay, let me rephrase that. Also, many custom ROM communities for Android gathered around Google Plus.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was a use. It was used, but apparently they didn't put much effort into it.
Yeah, probably they thought it in a different manner. They thought that Google Plus would have become another kind of website.
Another kind of Facebook, maybe.
Yeah, another kind of Facebook, probably. When they saw that they didn't get that much attention, they say, okay, it is
They just
giving
let
us
be
problems
and
now, and so it is better to close.
the whole thing. Yeah, that's
yeah.
very sad. That's not really a good strategy, in my opinion. It doesn't put Google under a good light, and for that reason, I feel I've been feeling recently like moving away from Google. Unfortunately, I cannot do that completely, mostly because of YouTube. But I've been thinking about moving my email to other service providers like Proton Mail.
Okay.
And I don't know, maybe 2019 will be the year of me switching to paid email. Who knows?
Or mailboxes. What?
Like
were
physical
there?
mailboxes?
Physical mailboxes they were selling now. They were trying to sell
I'm
it.
pretty sure you cannot send email to physical mailboxes though. And the whole thing about Europe laws. Do we really have to talk about that?
Huh?
Do we really have to talk about Europe?
I don't think that it is necessary. This is something that we've all seen, I guess. Even people
Yeah,
that are
those
very far
banners
from
on
those
websites.
banners and banner that always say,
Oh, we respect your
accept our cookies.
we respect your data privacy. Here's how we use it for, and you see an infinite list of advertisement, and so on. And sorry. The terrible thing is that, like I use word reference a lot. It's an online dictionary. It's actually a pretty good dictionary, and they have so many tracking cookies, and they make you disable all of them one by one, and they have like hundreds of them. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding. Go to word reference, Google it, DuckDuckGo it, whatever. Go to word reference, and when you see the GDPR compliance banner on the bottom, just click to personalize your ads and your cookies, or all that matter, and you'll see how many toggles you have to disable by hand. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is basically the only thing that changed.
Yeah, because nothing actually changed. They wanted to do something to make that data privacy better, but they didn't change a thing.
The idea behind it was good.
Yeah, but the
Sorry,
implementation was poor.
It was poor a little bit, yeah.
Exactly as poor as the copyright law.
Yeah.
But I think that's self-explanatory, really.
We have to put a line, yeah, but we are not doing it yet. We can opt for the future, even here.
I really hope so, but at the same time, I don't know.
It is
I
about-
trusted Europe. They could do something good for the internet, something good for the world, if you will. But they tried, but I don't feel like they're competent enough.
I don't know.
At this point, still at this point, I don't feel like they're competent enough to make these laws and regulations. Oh well. Let's move on to more joyful things. Self-hosting.
Self-hosting.
More popular than ever, they said.
Or at least they said, yeah. I've started my small self-hosting recently.
Did you?
I Raspberry Pi and I'm doing stupid things, really. I do not have a big server, but I'm starting having my FTP server and things like that.
Do you really actually use proper FTP?
SFTP. This
Okay,
is
SFTP.
Okay,
SFTP is not FTP, and you shouldn't be using FTP for actual file transfer. If you do, you're a bad person. But anyway, there's a public service announcement.
Like that. Something I'm trying things like.
Yeah, I mean,
trying
experimenting.
Streaming with the Raspberry Pi, it doesn't work really well.
Yeah, I mean, the hardware.
Probably, I don't know if it is my fault, but
I think it's to do with both the hardware. Are you trying to do transcoding on the fly?
Yeah.
Okay, the hardware isn't there. I can tell you that from the top of my head. I know that the hardware in the Raspberry Pi. You have the 3B plus.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not there. The hardware.
Okay.
The Raspberry Pi isn't capable of doing live transcoding.
I tried it, but
maybe some codecs, but not all of them. Some resolutions, and one other big limit is probably the network, because the Ethernet port on the Raspberry Pi is USB 2.
200. No.
It's linked to the USB 2 bus, so
Yeah.
it's capped to the USB 2 speeds. But anyway, apart from your adventures with the Raspberry Pi 3B plus,
you probably can speak more than me.
Yeah, I mean, I've been running my server for quite a while now, and I have to say I've seen much interest about self-hosting recently, especially this year. We've seen many advancements in not consumer ready, but more approachable server maintenance, also with snaps and Docker images, and Nextcloud has seen many advancements recently. And I mean, people are trying to move their data, at least competent people are trying to move their data off of big servers, big services, like Google Drive or whatever else that people use. And to be honest, now that I'm using it, I see how well it works and how better it is compared to other solutions. And all it takes is really a small or an old machine you can have in your home, connected to LAN, and that's basically all it takes. And I have a server of my own. I can use it for whatever I want. If I ever need to install a piece of server side software that's open source, I can do that. And I really hope that we see this trend continuing in 2019 as well.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
That's a great thing.
Okay, so I think we're approaching closer to the end of this year's show. So the last topic we really want to talk about here is cryptocurrencies, because it was a big thing last year and in the beginning of this year, and now it's not really there yet. And I think that McAfee isn't really happy about that.
Yeah, we can say it now.
We're demonetized anyway, so go ahead. Will McAfee
eat his own dick?
So if you don't know, explain the whole
story.
story, because I didn't know it, and when you said it, I was shocked. So explain it, please.
Okay, McAfee said that Bitcoin would reach some value by.
We reach. I
didn't
how much
remember.
Was
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. We have to.
We can take it.
Wait a second. So McAfee said that if Bitcoin reaches,
where is it?
This is old. This is the old one.
McAfee.
Okay. There it is.
Okay.
If Bitcoin reaches $500,000 by the end of 2020, he will eat his own dick.
And then he said that he doubled the offer.
Okay, he doubled it.
The offer
in 27. Okay, last year basically.
When the Bitcoin got a big rise.
Yeah, it was like what, $20,000 US.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of last year, of this year actually.
And he said that Bitcoin would have reached $1 million by the end of 2020, and he said that he would have eaten his dick. Okay, probably he will not do it, but Bitcoin.
I don't know. He said he would.
Huh?
He said he would.
Yeah, he said he would, but would you do it?
I wouldn't have made a bet like that, especially like on Twitter. But anyway,
yeah.
So the thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, in my opinion, is that people are really starting to lose interest in them because the value is starting to fall down. But to be completely honest, doesn't really matter. Does the value of the actual currency really matter? Because at the end of the day, people use cryptocurrencies to speculate and to make a profit out of them. But they're not what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be a currency, so a mean of exchange of goods and services.
Yeah, absolutely. It is not what they were meant for.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And people started mining it to make a profit out of it, and it really doesn't make sense. And this actually caused a big fracture of the market, because we've seen the beginning of this year to up towards the upper half of the year, we've seen the cost of hardware, especially PC hardware, skyrocketing for GPUs, for RAM, for anything
Memory
silicon
overall,
basically,
yeah.
anything
Yeah.
silicon. And now we're starting to see an end to this trend.
Yeah, we are starting breath again.
Yeah, that's really
breath again because yeah,
that's really great because I remember buying like 8 gigs of RAM for 80 euros. 8 gigs, a single stick of 2400
Yeah.
mega transfer per
1 month
second.
ago it was about 50 euros here. in
Yeah, I
Italy.
mean,
Something like that. Yeah.
but the thing about the RAM is also to do with the thing with the foundries.
Yeah.
What were the companies? Micron, Samsung, and the other one, don't remember the name.
Now it doesn't.
Okay,
anymore.
that doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter now.
But anyway, it's all linked in a way also to this cryptocurrency bubble basically that burst very rapidly, and now we're seeing the price sort of stabilize, and I think that's actually very good. I don't know if cryptocurrencies still have a future after this bubble burst.
They are too unpredictable, really.
Yeah, but it's again, it's not about the price. It's about the fact that people look at them in the wrong way, and now that the bubble is burst, I don't know.
They don't want to use it.
I don't even know if they understand what they are for. But at the same time, I don't know. But the thing about cryptocurrencies is that the whole thing about the blockchain, in my head, it doesn't work.
Probably, yeah. It isn't a model that, to me, is good.
It's not
to
really
handle
sustainable.
Currencies, yeah. Doing other hash calculations is the only thing that I don't know. It doesn't
It's
seem
weird.
the right thing, the right suit for
It doesn't.
cryptocurrencies.
Yeah,
We probably need a better concept.
yeah, probably
But
we
we
need
don't
a
know,
different concept, different from the blockchain, to make an actual decentralized, unified and free currency.
Yeah. As of now, they're trying to put blockchains everywhere.
Well, it
Yeah.
it was part of the bubble. We started to see a lot less of these startups trying to use blockchain for everything, but whatever.
Yeah.
They tried.
Some months ago, it was like a big boom. Yeah. We probably need something else. But as of now, we can't tell much.
Exactly. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how these new 2019 will start. Maybe we'll see another big vulnerability, or we'll see maybe, I don't know, Ethereum skyrocketing in price again. I don't really hope so. I really hope it doesn't happen, because if it's like last year, it's gonna be terrible. But we're gonna see.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're approaching the end. Okay, we actually reached the end of today's show, of this year's show, really. It doesn't really, it starts to feel like more natural. This is like the second year we're doing this.
It has been better than the last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been spending some more time organizing it, and still I'm still a little bit nervous, still a little bit not really used to the whole live stream of news kind of format, if you will. But I kind of like it. I like to experiment with this, and every year is looking at the past year and seeing what changed, and maybe having a way to compare the different years with these videos as well. It's kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I think we have truly come to an end here. Mattia, thank you for joining me for this year's show. It's been a pleasure.
Also to me, I have to say.
So let's actually thank all of our audience for being with us. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.
See you in the next one, or the next year. We don't know.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
And now I have to stop the stream.